So, good evening, everyone. I would like to start with a short mindfulness breathing exercise, meditations, and followed by cultivating good intention, motivation for being here, and then, then we will continue the discussions. Okay. So make yourself comfortable. Try to relax. Let go of tensions in your body, mind. And try to let go of all the thoughts of past, futures. Try to feel the weight of your body on cushion, chair, the surrounding. And keep your awareness or attentions either on the sensations on the nostril as you breathe in and out, or the breath itself as you inhale and exhale naturally. If you hear any sounds, feel any sensations, or if any thoughts, feelings arises, let them arises. Simply just observe, be aware whatever is happening in our body, outside, inside. But that without entertaining those feelings, thoughts. Without getting caught up in those feelings and thoughts. Simply just observe, be aware of those. Whatever comes, whatever arises, just notice them, be aware, observe, feel it, and let it go. Whatever arises, let them arise naturally, and let them disappear naturally by itself. If nothing arises, also let it be that. Whatever naturally it takes form, simply let it be, and simply just observe in a detached way. Then we try to generate good intention, motivation, thinking that may our time here be most beneficial, helpful, to understand our own emotions, ourselves better. And to increase our sense of loving kindness, compassion, towards oneself and towards others. May it be cause and conditions for us to actualize our full potential, the fully enlightened state or fully awakened state. Through the cultivation of love, compassion, and wisdom. And may we be most beneficial, helpful to each and every sentient beings, directly, indirectly, in whatever way we can. At least may we never be cause conditions for the pain to others, also oneself. through our actions, speech, and thoughts. May we always find a way to be gentle, kind, loving care to oneself, to all other sentient beings. Sangye chodan soge chonam la chanchu patu dani kyapsu che dagi jinso gebe sonam ki dola penche sangye duba shu sangye chodan soge chonam la chanchu patu dani kyapsu che dagi choche gebe sonam ki dola penche sangye duba Sangye chedan soge chonam la chanju padu dagi chöse gibe sonam gi dola penche sangye tuba kongye doje nye sonne ta tonje pangpe che tampe chunni tenje pe kodam de la chaza. So today throughout the weekend we will be discussing about how to cultivate, how to nourish, how to increase, improve loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta in our heart. And especially I believe it is so important, crucial, especially in the present situations that is going in the world due to current, in general, especially now, due to current situation in the world. There is so much fear, frustrations, anger going around the world. Some of those angers are directed towards those terrorists. Some of those angers are directed towards the governments for their policies. Some of those anger was directed towards for people not doing enough. Some of them people direct their anger for doing too much. But basically there is a lot of anger that going around directed towards different directions, and which makes the world much more vulnerable, which makes ourselves vulnerable. Which add up more pain, more miserable. mm, by the situation itself. So, training, cultivating, meditating on loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta can be very transformative, very healing in general, every day, especially in that kind of environment, situations, when there is that kind of negative energy going too much negative energies. There is already kind of chaos externally due to explosions of such situations. On top of that, then we increase the level of pain, the level of problems, the level of misery by dwelling our mind in those negative state of minds. It's absolutely natural that for us to have such sense of fear, frustration, anger when due to that kind of situations. It's very natural for us to have those feelings. It's not something unnatural. As a unenlightened beings, it's a natural. But the key is, whatever those emotions arises, recognizing those emotions by looking within ourselves, recognizing those emotions, feeling those emotions, and learning how to let it go without dwelling into that. How to transform that energy. Feel it and transform it into something positive energy instead of negative energy. And the way to transform that energy, the negative energy in positive energy, is through loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, the meditation practice on those. Then it is absolutely possible for someone to remain calm, peaceful in your mind, within yourself, despite all this chaos externally. It's not that we have to be in a state of chaos internal due to that external situations. We have the choice. The external situation, maybe we might not have much choice. Definitely there is something maybe we might be able to contribute to change this external situations. And whatever things that we can make things to change externally, we try to do that. But still, realistically, as one individual, to change the mind of those people, it is quite unrealistic immediately, to change their mind immediately. But the key is that we do have the choice, potentials, and ability to change our mind, to transform our mind, to change our mind from being chaotic internally due to those negative emotions. That absolutely we have the choice, potential, ability to transform that. So therefore, when we do have that, we have to pay more attention to that. A lot of time, there's an external chaos, and that affect us, and then we start to have this internal chaos, become very negative. All negative emotions arises, and instead of paying more attention to inside chaos, we try to pay too much attention to the external chaos, and that makes things much more worse. So it's so crucial, and it is experience of so many other beings. Even I have some friends who had a very hard relationship with their partner, ex-wife, ex-husband. Very difficult time, a lot of anger, a lot of blaming, game, a lot of hatreds. But they met some teachers, friends, who encouraged them to do some practice on meditation, practice on some of those techniques, such as taking, giving, loving kindness, compassion, and they started doing that. Over the time, they had change in their heart. Their mind started to have transformations. Over the time, they are able to kind of let go of those blaming game. They will able to let go, slowly let go of that anger, hatred. Slowly, they were able to find peace in their heart, in their mind. Some level of peace, stability. They were able to transform all the negative energy that was directed toward others. They were able to kind of transform that energy. Through that transformation, they were able to find much more peace, calmness, stability in their life. As a consequence, their relations started to change. their relation started to change. Their relation started to become more positive. Doesn't mean they got together, but they divorced, they had different, but still they didn't have that kind of anger and hatred. And they are able to kind of work together better as a couple without those negative. And so that is the experience of people who have done those. So it's very, as I said, very, very healing and transformative. So again, it just shows the possibility of our mind, the potential of our mind. So transforming and changing our mind is so crucial if we want to change and transform the external situations, external chaos. When there is so much chaos inside, is almost impossible and very difficult to have a to bring a better transformations, better change on the external world. That happens when we started to have internal transformation, internal changes. When we try to change something, unpleasant situations, external situations, we can really change it when it comes with some sense of loving kindness, compassion, care, understanding. We cannot bring those transformations with a force, with anger and hatred. Such such method has not worked in the past, and it will not work. So therefore, first of all, trying to change our own mind, our own thoughts is so crucial and important. Transforming that is so. As Buddha has said, if I give maybe quotations, in Dhammapada, the collection of Buddha's teachings or words, it says, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. Is found in our thoughts and are made of our thoughts. Is our mind. If we are aggressive persons, if we are compassionate persons, if we are optimistic, hopeful persons, or if we are pessimistic, unhopeful persons, whoever we are, whatever we are, what makes us we are is our mind, our thoughts. If we transform our thoughts, mind, we will transform ourselves. And so Buddha continued, if a man speak or act with the negative thoughts, suffering follows. If a man speak or act with a good thoughts, happiness follows. So again, if we observe and pay attention to our own actions, word or speech, and our own thoughts, it becomes very clear. When we have those negative thoughts, there's much more pain, there's much more unsettling, there's much more agitations. And when we speak or act out of that unsettling, agitated state of minds, we always engage into some unhealthy, unskillful way. As a consequences, it brings much more pain, suffering to others and oneself. On the other hand, when our mind is much more calm, peace, due to sense of understanding, due to sense of loving kindness, compassion, on the basis of that, there's always more positive thoughts, positive feelings. If you observe that, it's much more peace, calmness, joyfulness, blissfulness. There's less agitations, less unsettling. More peace. And on the basis of that, when we act and when you speak, it is much more skillful, much more healthier. We make less mistake. We are able to communicate better. And because of that, there's less pain, suffering to others, to oneself. Instead, there's much more happiness, joy to oneself and others. So therefore, working with our mind becomes so crucial. Our thoughts, feelings. Looking in our own thoughts, feelings, emotions, and trying to work with that is so crucial, so crucial. A lot of time we kind of forget that. A lot of time we are not in touch with ourselves, our feeling, our thoughts. We get too distracted to outside and trying to fix things from external instead of trying to fix from internal. So that being the case, we'll talk more on that. And I've been thinking a lot about the frustration, the anger that comes. And basically, it seems it's coming out of fear from my observations. Sometimes we might, when we look news or when we read news and what is happening in that, sometimes we feel people doesn't have compassion. We get upset with that. We feel they don't have compassion. Not compassion enough to extend the help and so forth, or for whatever they are doing. But I've also observed, while talking with different peoples, also sometimes observing your own feelings. A lot of time is not because people doesn't have compassion. People, the compassions, they have compassion, at the same time they have fear. And the fear is stronger than the compassions that overwhelm them. I've seen the people who were at the very beginning kind of opening their heart out of compassion, accepting people's refugee and so forth. Over the time, that started to become more kind of frustrations out of fears. Out of fears. It's not because they don't have compassion. They had compassion, therefore they were kind of welcoming, and they were even, then eventually something happens and it kind of become more fearful of things, many different things. And that when that fear took over, then the compassion become less, in sense. Fear overtook the compassion, let's say. And I believe it is important to understand that so that we don't have anger and hatred for people, for their different views, their different actions. Doesn't mean that we have to agree with them. We still can disagree with things, the way things should be done, the way things. But at the same time, understanding from where it come from. Basically, same thing is come from the fears, like a lot of things in our life. And fear is quite natural. The fears, from one point of view, it comes for our survival, for example, the fears. Whether it's animal, whether it's human, a fear is kind of tool for the survival. If you look from but of course, due to our strong sense of attachment or strong sense of grasping, clinging, then those fear increases, and then we have a lot of other unnecessary fears, which is not just required for survival, but is kind of more than that. We become too over cautious or too overly fearful. And so, but I think at the basis there is that point too. So due to those fearful, then of course, we act in a way that it overwhelms our compassions. So therefore, again, it's transforming that fear by focusing on the loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, so that loving kindness, compassion can overcome the fear. At the moment, the fear is stronger than the loving kindness, compassions. So if we pay more attention, work with our own loving kindness, compassion we already have, work with that, nourish that. As it becomes more stronger, as it increase, improve, and become more stronger, then that can overcome fear and many other negative thoughts, feelings. So therefore, again, yeah. So throughout the weekend, we will be working on this, what we call bodhicitta. Bodhi means enlightened, awakened. Citta means mind, so it's awakened mind, enlightened mind, or mind of enlightened. And such is a very high. I think it might not be incorrect to say it's a very high form of loving kindness, compassions. It's basically induced by great loving kindness and compassions, but much more higher level of state of mind than loving kindness, compassion itself. So we will be discussing on that. We will do some practice meditations. They will have some discussions, and then of course question and answer. So I think that is the way we are going to do that. And in many of the, so it is the bodhicitta mind, the awakening mind of the bodhicitta is an altruistic attitude. Or intention, wish to actualize our full potential, fully enlightened state, in order to reach out and help all sentient beings to free them from suffering and cause of suffering, and help them and guide them to highest level of their own potentials, fully enlightened state. So that is what the awakened mind of Bodhicitta means. And many of the Buddhist classical teachings, they explain few different techniques, method, how to develop, actualize that altruistic attitude, the Bodhisattva attitude of the Bodhicitta. There is one technique method which is kind of explained through 7 stages. Sometimes we call Mahayana 7 point of cause and effect, that by following those different steps of contemplation, meditations, that we are able to actualize, develop those and increase improve more and more. And then another technique that you find is what we call equalizing, exchanging self with others. There are those 2 different well-known methods that you find in Buddhist scriptures. And then in some others, in others, also others writings. Also, sometimes you find some of the masters, practitioners, teachers, combining those 2 techniques together as well. And during this weekend, I think we will be kind of focusing more on the 7 point of cause and effect, that step. This Bodhicitta mind, the awakened mind of Bodhicitta, induced or driven by great loving kindness and great compassion, is incredible, powerful state of mind that can transform our thoughts, feelings, emotions, that can transform our speech, that can transform our act. It is like a what do you call alchemy or alchemy? Alchemy is like the alchemy energies, where it is able to kind of transform the ordinary metals into a kind of gold. Similarly, this bodhicitta mind have that kind of energy to be able to transform through the energy of that bodhicitta mind, to transform the our ordinary thoughts, our ordinary feelings, emotions, and our ordinary act and speech to transform into something positive, something beneficial, something healthy. When we act out of that bodhicitta attitude, all our actions become healthy and skillful acts, cause of happiness, cause of peace, cause of satisfactions. Same when we speak or when we use our words out of that bodhicitta mind, all those speech words become very transformative, cause of peace, cause of joy, happiness. And of course, when we feel, think with that kind of attitude, or when we experience emotionally, mentally out of that attitude, then again all our feeling, thoughts, emotions become cause of satisfactions, cause of happiness, joy, bliss. It overcomes all the negative thoughts such as resentment, grudges, anger, hatred, all these negative thoughts, all these ill will feelings, bad feelings. When your mind and heart is kind of taken by this attitude of the bodhicitta mind, there is no space for those negative energy. There is no space for anger when you are in that state of mind. There is no space for hatred, resentment, grudges, ill will feeling, all these negative feelings. And all other practices come easily. When you have that bodhicitta mind, the practice of tolerance, patience come naturally, easily. The practice of morality, not harming others, restraining from harming others, come naturally, easily, naturally. When we are in that kind of such a bodhicitta mind attitude, there is a lot of energy, joyous effort, engaging in something virtuous actions, something wholesome, something positive, something beneficial, helpful to oneself and others. The energy, the perseverance, the joyous perseverance, joy effort come naturally. the bodhicitta mind drive you, that give you that energy, that joyfulness. And I think that is exactly the reason why, like some of those incredible beings that who have done so much to the world, sometimes you wonder how do they get those energies. Not only they are able to do so much, but they have so much joy in doing that. If we look for, like, for example, in our present moment, someone like Dalai Lama, he's in 80s, and if you look his schedule, he's traveling like crazy. Not only traveling like crazy, he's meeting all the time. Like, his schedule is, after he finished there, here, all the time, packed. And if you see it, you don't see any hints of him kind of complaining about that. Do you get it? There's no hints of that he's complaining about his. It seems there is so much joy in what he does. There is so much energy, and not energy, there's so much joyness in doing that. And where does that come from? I believe is the bodhicitta that give that kind of energy. If we talk about from our own related with this group, the founder of the FPMT, which the study group is affiliated, Lama Sopa Rinpoche, same thing. Sometimes you wonder where does he get all this energy. Day and night. For us, if we don't sleep for 5 hours, we collapse the next day. For him, not sleeping, I don't know, I guess maybe he slept when he was young, but definitely for the last 30, 40 years, not only doesn't sleep, he is very trying to do something day and night, meeting, helping, discussing, teachings, practicing, doing prayer, practice for others, so forth. A lot of people collapse after spending 1 week with him. It's same with me. When he comes, or when I go to some of his events, or when he comes to our places like that, and if he stays 1 week or 10 days, after that, after he leaves, sometimes you collapse because you just can't keep up with him. But he seems to have so much energy, incredible energy. Where does that come from? I believe his bodhicitta mind. That is where it comes from. And not only that, there is so much joy in it that, like, whatever he does, there's incredible feeling of joy in that. Like for us, we do things because of it is kind of sometimes compulsory, So you don't really enjoy in doing that. You feel tired that because there is no really kind of joyness in doing that, because you do it because it's compulsory. But in their cases, there is no tiredness because they enjoy doing that. There's such an incredible joy in doing that. So the practice of joyous effort, perseverance, come very naturally and very strong. And when we have those practices, of course, the practice of generosity definitely come very easily when you have such a sense of loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta. So maybe we will have a short break. Yeah.